All right, am I recording? Not quite. There we go. Pause. Oh, I am. Okay, so thank you all. This is a new endeavor for us in terms of content, but it's not new in terms of how we deliver our expertise. And that may be more important, how we deliver to any parents who are right now thinking about, should I be putting my kid in school? And I'm not even referring to safety aspects. How much are you going to learn in school? When half the time the teacher now has to be concerned about how many students have entered the classroom because there's a certain limit, and is there another one coming in? Do they exit from the same door as they come in, or does Bobby have to turn around and go out that way? Has somebody let down their mask? Can a teacher project well through the mask? Can students learn as effectively when half the teacher's face is covered and there's no expressions on her or on the students? Effectiveness can't possibly be as good for the next, until there's an effective vaccine. That's the state of in-person tutoring. Online tutoring still have unmasked people, still have students from home not worried about, is the kid next to me maybe going to infect me? And very few youngsters are worried in the first place about themselves, because we know that very few kids are getting terribly sick. Some still are. So there is that fear. But the huge fear should be, I'm going to infect somebody who could get so sick, and it might be my grandma. Right. And for the next, until there's a vaccine, the 12-year-old student, am now a weapon that my grandma has to fear. So there's very good reason for parents doing online, and I'm going to contend it's not even a sacrifice in education. The only things that learning coaches, the way we expect to conduct, won't do as well as your school building classes. We don't have a cafeteria, okay? So you're home for lunch. You might not want to be in the school cafeteria anyway. The sandwiches that are being stored in a refrigerator, if one kid touches the wrongly wrapped sandwich, that could have a bad virus. Or maybe they just take both sandwiches away from the kids and they go hungry. We also don't have athletic fields, okay? So sorry, we're not going to be able to teach those things. Almost everything else we can do. And the reason we do it really well, Ivy Bound, and Learning Coaches is a division of Ivy Bound, has been doing online learning for 13 years. This is not a pivot for us. This is not a COVID era reaction for us. Our tutors have started in 2007. Actually, I think one of them started in 2006, but 2007, multiple tutors. Classes we've done since 2011. We're pretty good at this. Whereas teachers in school, they're doing this anew. They had to do it in the spring, didn't go well for by most parents' reactions, and who knows how quickly they will catch up. They're going to be catching up to folks like us, private educators that are offering talented tutors to parents who can safely have their kids at home. Let me introduce a couple of the private teachers. I'm going to go Dennis first, Rowena second. Okay, so Dennis for 15, now we'll give more time, a minute, even up to a minute and a half. Please tell us what you're about and what you plan to be teaching. Rowena will be up next.
Okay, my name is Dennis Shulman, and I've been a math teacher since 1977. I've taught every high school math class up through pre-calculus. I have presented workshops at math conferences, and I've done a lot of private tutoring, and I've done a lot of SAT instruction. What I'm proposing for the classes is enrichment classes in a few different areas. One is mental math, which has been a passion of mine for many years. I've worked with lots of students. I'm calling the class Human Calculators because that's what I turns students into a lot of times, and they really enjoy it. It's a fun class, and it's important because to me, the two areas of math that are most neglected in schools are mental arithmetic, being able to learn number sense and how to manipulate numbers, multiply and add, and also problem solving. So I'm doing one class in mental math, I'm doing one class in problem solving. They're both going to be fun, they're both going to be fast, and you don't have to have a strong math background. In arithmetic, I ask for two things. I ask they know the multiplication tables, which surprisingly not all students do know, and they know how to add single-digit numbers quickly. From that, we can have them do incredible things and learn fast. And the other two things that I'm going to offer is classes in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. And I'm going to do that as an enrichment. So for students who are taking an Algebra 1 or Algebra 2 class, I'll be able to reinforce what they're learning and help them. And also if they are preparing to take one, they can take this class before they take it. Or if they're want to review what they've already learned, they can take it then too. So it's for those reasons, for the students before they take it, after, or during. It would work for all those. And I'm also able to do geometry and pre-calculus if there's interest. But for now, I'm proposing Algebra 1 and Algebra 2.
Fantastic. Thank you. Roanna, Miss Miller with not a STEM course. Roanna Miller, everyone.
Hi.
Followed by Kevin. Weaver, you're up next.
Hi, I am Roanna with not a STEM course. I am planning to teach an intensive college essay writing workshop during the month of September. It's going to meet for 2 hours a day, 4 days a week, and students, high school seniors, are going to come in with ideas, drafts, maybe drafts, about their personal statements and their college supplemental essays. And then by the end of the workshop, they're going to come out with polished essays, polished personal statement, polished supplements, everything they need for a complete application package.
And I'm gonna add on to that, because by the end of the workshop, those magic words, this gets your kids done. And so many students are, even when they have a coach, they're backed up. Oh, I got to do this. Their parents have to nag them. Our goal here is to embed work time. This is going to be Miss Miller for a fraction of the time that the kids are together. But the expectation is she's around to help, but you're going to work on it right away. And you're going to be done. Within a month, we start September 1st. Those of you who would like to have her even earlier, so that in August, you want to get a lot accomplished for your senior, she's available. All right, Mr. Weaver's up next, followed by Ms. Starkowski.
Good evening, everyone. It's even evening in California where I am. I'm proposing doing something very similar to Dennis. I am a former high school math teacher and a former college math instructor. I've taught at a number of colleges and in fact designed 2 math curriculum for a college in San Diego. And I am proposing doing an Algebra 1 and an Algebra 2, as well as a pre-calc course. I also have about 20 years experience in doing SAT and ACT prep. And one of my other offerings is going to be what I call Dr. Math, picking what are rumored to be the more difficult questions on the SAT and or the ACT and strategizing about how to get through those questions.
Fantastic. And in case you want to find some of these offerings, Kevin's Dr. Math is one of them. We have many of the classes under the ivybound.net website. If you look under academic prep, I believe it's the first one near the upper left, you'd be able to see a few that we suggest, but there's a full 50 offerings. Dr. Math is one of them. And you can see a big load where you can choose the class times. Oh, well, the class times we've chosen, you have to adhere. If you don't want to adhere to the times that we've chosen, ask, because you could get Kevin, Dennis, Roanna at times that you want if you have a private one-on-one session. If you want to economize, because one-on-one is far more expensive than 1 on 5 or 6, we'd like you to get together with those other people, and then you're splitting the cost. We don't charge anymore for the time. The teachers are paid for their time. We don't care if that time is associated with 4 kids at once, 6 kids at once, or just 1. Now, we do care if the kids are of very different abilities. So where it's Ms. Miller's college prep, they're all starting about the same, okay? She'll take on everybody. But math comes in with very different abilities. It's for a Dennis class or a Kevin class, it's up to you, the parent, to try to hone in and limit the people's range of stuff so that they can all benefit more. Now, let's say somebody comes into your orbit who'd like to be in the class, and you know it's just not a good fit, okay? This kid is way far below where your kid's at, or way far above. You can put them to us, okay? And let me now introduce, she'll talk a little bit more later, but Miss Ashley Rohn, she's the one that's coordinating individuals who have a desire to just start in right away, or maybe start in right away but are looking for a group, and she could help you a little bit more. Ms. Sandy Foster is working with people who already have groups. You got an intact group. Sandy can really speed you to the right tutor at the times you want. 6 is a good number to make things very economical. If you only have 3 or 4, it's still a worthy group. You'll have to pay a little bit more, but I think 3 or 4 is good. 6 is ideal. It saves a lot of money. It's a fun group. Learning Coaches itself will be offering more classes than just the ones on ivybound.net. We are scheduled to open up that at the end of this week. So the Learning Coaches area is called ivybound.net/LC. LC for Learning Coaches. Don't go there yet, but probably by Thursday we'll be there. Okay, let me go to, who did I say? Oh, Kristen, Mr. Arkowski, followed by Mr. Getz.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen. I'm currently pursuing my PhD in English at Princeton, and I've been working for Ivy Bound as a tutor since around 2014. The classes that I'll be teaching are on writing and grammar. So the grammar class covers the parts of speech, phrases, clauses, and the parts of the sentence, and then goes into how we can kind of apply those skills to writing. And then the writing class covers various genres of writing, from creative writing to the argumentative essay to the expository essay, and talks about sentence level skills as well as structure and organization, and paragraph level writing skills. And those are 11-week courses that will begin in September.
Matt Getz is next. I hope he can come on with video. And I'm not sure if Ahana or Shulman are prepared to do it. They're our youngest instructors, talented, I know this, but I'm not sure. So Ahana potentially next, or you could pass to Shulman. You both pass, it goes to Ashley. Matthew.
Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Getz. I am here in Nashville, and I will be offering a Lego robotics course. We're going to be exploring the principles of mechanical design, doing things like gear ratios, looking at torque versus speed, efficiency, programming, and problem solving in general.
And the programming is computer programming, right? For those robots that they built.
That's exactly right. Yeah, so we'll be using the programming language that Lego has created to power the different robots, and you'll get to learn different principles of programming, like how to navigate different challenges. So previous robots we've made in the past are a sort of a Roomba-style robot that can navigate its way through a room. I recently built a robot that can solve a maze based on clues written down on the floor throughout the maze. And I've also made robots that print letters and things like that. So each student would either be lent or would purchase a Lego robotics kit, and from that we would build our own robots and design different things on our own, and also look at pre-existing robots as well. So an example of a type of Lego mechanical design that you might come up with is this. I've been working on it recently. It is a clock. So it's not fully powered yet, but using gear ratios and just turning this one crank, I'm able to have the second hand, that small one, move 60 times for every one rotation of the minute hand. which then the minute hand moves 12 times around for each rotation of the hour hand. So this is an
I
example
never
of
knew
something.
how that worked. That's
Yeah,
great.
it's very complicated, but
Matt, what ages do you expect this is appropriate for?
yeah, that's a good question. So I think anyone as old or as young as 8 can probably get something out of it. I've had a student as young as 5. That was very rare, and it would probably be difficult online. But I think a student as young as 8 who has a mind for this type of thing would definitely be welcome in the class. And I would say as old as high school is definitely an option as well. There's a lot you can learn. I'm still learning stuff from these things now.
Cool. And just in case you have child or grandchild who is not even 8 years old but might want to do Lego without the robotics yet, we have a Lego instructor. He's not here now, but Robbie is available. He's taught before. And for ages 5 through 9, we actually online have kids collaborate. How is that possible? Well, here's an example. Just as engineers in different places have to get parts of a bridge together, I mean, sophisticated people need the width of the bridge to be just right, the height of the parts of the bridge to be just right. So Felix, who's in Florida, could be building the western half of the bridge with Lego, and Andrea, who's in Michigan, can be doing the eastern half of the bridge, and their specs are meant to sync up. And yes, at age 8 or 9, we at least make those expectations or goals. They fall short, no real harm, but if they match up, great. That works really well. We will let students also be totally creative to start. I'm going to build the fire truck of the future. I'm going to put out fires everywhere. Okay, good boy thing to do. But this boy who wants to design his fire truck to be newer and better needs it copied. And just as sophisticated manufacturers go from prototype and have some other plant in China usually, redoing the prototype over and over and over again, your partner on the Lego end has to see your prototype. You'll have to show it through the computer, and his job is to make 5 of them. And vice versa. Your job is to make 5 of somebody else's prototype of whatever they want to design. So Lego, believe it or not, can still be collaborative even through the internet. That's our attempt. Before I go to my last 3, who happen to be members of Learning Coaches on the admin side, let me just preview how we work in the fall. Kristen mentioned that it's going to be 11 weeks, and we will do this every quarter. 11 out of the 13 weeks in a quarter are consecutive meeting times on Fridays or Saturdays or Sundays. One date for each of these enrichment courses, Fridays or Saturdays or Sundays. Some students might take 2 or 3 in a day, especially if it's Saturday and there's no other stuff going on. 3 hours in a row, 3 different teachers, or 2 hours with the same teacher. You can pile on and you'll have consistency throughout the course. We don't want you to join early. Well, you can't join early, and we'd rather you didn't join late. We'd like you to have the full 11 weeks. We don't start until the final week of September. Truly, into the fall, we finish just before Christmas, and then a whole nother round will start in January. That's our winter 11-week term. Most of the same classes will be there, but we expect to have a few extra ones by then as more and more teachers build up, and more parents come to us saying, hey, I want this. Do you have a teacher? Well, we have about 40 who are active now that have specialties. So we expect that something that's kind of new, you could do. We'll tell you if we have nobody to do, but at least try us. Now, the core subjects, the ones that might even be replacing school, are what we do 4 days a week, Mondays through Thursdays. We are a school that will meet for English and math and multiple possible sciences. Enrichment things like computer programming, but every day of the week, those are available Mondays through Thursdays. So we've only been talking about kind of enhanced enrichment classes, but the hardcore math, science, English are going to be there literally from 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. Eastern time. Yes, some Californians who want to do some stuff at night, they can still be with us, especially if they got other stuff going on in the day. So we're going to be well offered, well staffed, and it's up to parents to decide, do we want to maybe do this instead of school? Or maybe this in addition to school buildings where it's a troublesome course and you want some daily reinforcement. We even have a class called study hall. And study hall isn't direct teaching, but it's quiet time with extra help available. And thanks to the loveliness of Zoom rooms, which are split off, we can attend to 1 or 2 kids who have the same issues, one of our instructors there, while the other one is still monitoring the rest of the kids. Ahana, did you have something you wanted to present?
Not yet. Next
Not
time.
yet. And Shulman, did you?
I do, yeah. So hi everyone, I'm Shulman, and I'm going to be teaching the Asian history class along with potentially a couple other history classes at Ivy Bound for learning coaches. And so what I wanted to do with the history classes here is to not just make history about names, places, and dates, but make it more about the narratives and the culture of the past in order for us to be able to better explore our present. And so the way we're going to do that is through looking at different mediums of preserving the past, like narratives and documentaries, in order to kind of foster a deeper appreciation of how people have lived in the past, live in the present, and make those connections a lot tighter. Because I think right now, everyone kind of recognizes a little bit of a disconnect. And so I think having some sort of anchor to the past is a useful skill to be able to have. And hopefully these history classes can help students learn some methods to be able to do that.
Super. All right, our final teacher is Ashley Rohn.
Hi everyone, I'm Ashley. So I have 2 different classes that I will be teaching, enrichment classes. One is Research 101, and so this is essentially to teach students all the basics of how to do good research, how to find good sources, reliable sources, how to work collaboratively in groups, how to stay organized, appropriately cite sources, and ultimately present something of a passion project, a passion research project to their fellow classmates without the pressure of having to actually write a paper at the end. The other class or I guess group of classes that I will be teaching are French throughout all the different levels, basically up to AP. And so I think, that's kind of self-explanatory, but it will be language and a bit of culture. So from all the way from beginners through AP.
Fantastic.
Mark, could I add one more thing, please?
In 30 seconds, yes. For 30 seconds, I should say. Go ahead.
Oh, for 30. Since Matt is doing some programming, I was thinking about offering an enrichment course in Excel. I don't know how many students by the time they become juniors or seniors should have a knowledge of Excel, since it's the most widely used software product in the world. And I was going to then consider that maybe some of the parents would want to join in on that class as well.
So we actually have, nice timing, we actually have a series for adults. It'll start in January. So we're going to stay with K through 12. 3/4 of the group will be occupied for our fall. And yes, adult only or adults with teens joining, Kevin will be open to that. That will exist starting in the winter as well. So let me direct you in a way that should help those who are interested in any of these teacher offerings. If you're a parent who would like to do individually or be part of a group that's not yet formed, we'd like Ashley to be the receiver of your request, and she's best off by email. And I believe that's Ashley R.
Yes.
At ivybound.net.
I put it in the chat for everyone
Nice.
as well.
Using chats is excellent, okay? If you are a parent with a group already intact, that should go to Sandy, and she is sjivybound@gmail.com. sjiveybound@gmail.com. If you're a tutor who has yet to be fully given a green light, I see David just joining us. So other tutors aren't even here yet. Shulman is the person that you should be in touch with to potentially offer yourself for any of the classes we have here, or even, as these guys have done, craft your own class to teach the stuff that you want to do. It is a beautiful thing that the marketplace is at work here. Teachers with skills, parents meeting up, and no imperatives from administration. We're closer to a business than an educator. We bring the best elements of business. We've got to serve you well because we're not getting funding from districts. We've got to serve you economically because you're the ones paying for it. So that's my other push for having other people, because you're then paying less for these talented instructors. Let me ask or offer a period right now for any questions that have come up based on any presentations by the teachers or by me. I'll close that in 6 minutes because at 10:10 I have another agenda to continue with. But questions now, I'll start with people. I tend to go west to east. Anyone west of the Mississippi with questions, you're up first. I hear none. Anyone in the central time zone with questions? Anyone in the eastern time zone with questions? Was that a hand up for Hannah? All right, then I'm going to move faster into what I want to talk about, and that is the maybe stunning. I don't think it's for you because you might not have, you probably aren't here if you haven't at least thought about, do I even want my kid in school this fall? My take, you don't. And even though I don't know who's in your family, and I don't know the quality of the school that you're about to send your kid to or withdraw from, it's dangerous. There will be school closings. That's inevitable. How inevitable? How often have your kids gone a full 9 months of school without getting a cold or the flu? All right. For me and most kids, you get one of those two things 3 times a year. COVID is at least as transmissible as the flu, more transmissible than colds. And though not deadly to kids, they're carrying it and almost certainly will within 2 weeks of entering a school building with a lot of strangers. All the work that administrators have been doing over the last 2 months in schools is almost certainly going to be for naught. They're going to have to close because there will be kids that come with COVID known and they didn't take their temperature, or unknown, and then it crops up because they start without symptoms, but they acquire it. And as soon as you know that Jonathan has it, Jonathan at that point has given it to 5 other kids. Schools will almost certainly close. By mid-October, I think we're done. So it might just be a waste of time, irrespective of the safetiness to your child. It might very well be kind of wasteful to even be spending those 6 weeks between opening and likely closing in a back and forth set of guidelines that the schools can't keep up with. As well-intentioned as these administrators are, they should have been working on online education and making it better and better and better. Because even in January, this is unlikely to change unless we have a well-tested vaccine by then. Okay, we don't have anything tested on humans yet vaccine. So I ain't gonna be in the first couple months. I'm 56, borderline vulnerable, but I'm not taking a vaccine until it's well tested. Schools are gonna be done, I suspect, for the whole academic year. And even if they are not done, they're probably not gonna be done well. Let online learning have a chance of being the well done that maybe you're hoping for. Maybe even the better done. And here are 3 reasons why an online teaching realm like ours might be better than any private school. And yes, I'm saying a lot there. I attended private school. Probably a third of our students attend private school. And yet, even private schools have more bureaucratic restraints. They have budgets. And if a parent has a request to do something kind of special, reason one why they can't say yes, even if they'd like to, the private school doesn't have the funds for it. And they're afraid to ask parents to pay for it themselves. Reason number 2 that they can't say yes is that there's not enough kids in the little 300-person school to have enough people to make it worthwhile. You yourself want to have a fencing class, but you're the only one. Here's why our school wipes out both of those. The fencing class is not limited to the 300 kids in your private school. It's 30 million kids because it can be done online. And if you have the desire for fencing for your 5th grader, we can probably find a Californian, a Minnesotan, and Texan to join a couple New Englanders and have a robust and economical class. At least we can try. And the budget is not a constraint because you're paying for it, okay? Now, you're always paying for it. But if it's really good, parents are usually happy to pay for it. And if you need to economize, that's what getting a bunch of parents together does for you. We don't want to be saying no to parents. School administrators, especially in public school, but even in private school, they have to say no. And school administrators often look at parents who have requests as annoying. Go away. We don't want to hear from your request. We look at those requests as our prods to do the next classes right. If, Michelle, you give me a group of kids who want to do something that's a little different from what they're used to, you're going to help us spur one of these teachers here to do it, or maybe one of the 60 other teachers that we have. You become our leaders, and thus you are more in control as parents than any school will ever be able to give. We're at the starting realm, so we want to do well for you, and we're at the, for good reason, ignorant realm of what you exactly want to do or don't want to do. So because we're ignorant, but we'll take your prods and be really responsive, I think we're a really good bet for at least a trial. And here is a trial. Sunday nights, not next Sunday, because we're going to do one of these for another group of parents, but starting August 16th, you have up to 7 weeks to join without charge for 20 minutes of Kevin, 20 minutes of Ashley, 20 minutes of Shulman. We're going to have a 2-hour block at this time on Sundays. It'll start at 8 and go till 10 Eastern. And in that block, you could have up to 6 different offerings. We'll probably do just 4 because we need a little downtime. So 30 minutes, 20 minutes of it is teaching. There's a little assembly, a little schmoozing, and you could see how it will work. No commitment on your part. If you like it, tell 5 friends. And you have time to do that because we're not going to formally start until September 26th or later. So that's why we're using these August slots. We're going to use in September more Sundays, and we're going to add some Wednesday slots from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. So there'll be more opportunities to just demo and see what it's like. Ashley, did you have anything that you want to add or you think I should add? Shulman, you're up next.
I was just going to say it would be great if you could mention some of the potential prices of some of these class offerings for the 11 weeks. And also, I had something. I'll
I'll
remind you.
stick with that, and then you can add later. So 11 weeks of one of these 1-hour classes, 11 weeks in a row, it's $245. If you have a second child in the same class, we discount for the second child by 20%, comes to $196. So pretty economical. If you're doing across the board Monday through Thursday, that's still 11 weeks. It's a lot of classes. It's 44 classes you'll have, but $839. If you had 6 of those, and this was your private school for the fall, you would be paying about $2,500 per 3-pack. If you want mornings, if you want all 6, double that. We actually give a little discount. So it'll be in the $4,800, $4,900 for a quarter, meaning 3 months of private school, 6 hours a day. So 2 kids, you're going to get a lower price on the second kid there as well. So that $839 is reduced by 20% for the second child doing the same classes. So other prep schools are $70,000 for 2 kids. We're at 15 times for the first, and then the second kid about 14, so still under 30,000 for 2 kids for the whole year. 3 of the 4 quarters. Do that math and you're up to about 29,000. And we think we're going to get you the better education. By the way, what's the sort of exit test for us? The better education. Are we doing it right? If you're taking a lot of courses, at least one will be in math, at least one will be in verbal, and then you don't need an SAT class, okay? Because even those math and verbals that we offer, at some point, we deal with SAT, and we deal with SAT English, and we deal with SAT math, so that you probably don't need Ivy Bound on the back end for what we do every summer. You should be done. Ashley, what else was there?
The other thing that I was going to say is just that, based on states, if you're going to go with the full homeschooling option, where you just go with us as your replacement, we do have some information about each state's requirements, but definitely we would implore you to look at your requirements, because certain states are much more lenient. Others want a full portfolio of the activities you do. But regardless, we are still very viable replacements for that. None of them require parents or guardians to be the teacher of record. The only thing that you need to do is make sure that your child has the best education that they can get, and we can do that. But please do look at your individual state's requirements for homeschooling, so that there's no problems with the state saying we don't know that your kid has completed requirements for this year.
Siobhan, did you have anything to add yourself, or for me to add that I've omitted?
I don't think so right now.
Okay. I'm going to ask Sandy and David, because I'm not sure if you had something to add. So you're up next, but let me talk briefly about the changing nature of certifications and requirements. 10 years from now, they will be irrelevant if they're coming from the state. They will be irrelevant, because even now, state certifications really don't know how much is going on in the school that's good and bad. A few of you might have seen my video that your typical school district in a fairly intense state, I'm in one of them, every 5 years there's a certification round, but they're not very deep. So a Department of Education person or team of people is looking at the school's curriculum, looking at the qualifications of the teachers on paper, and rarely even talking to them. They talk to administrators, not the teachers themselves. Rarely talking to parents, never talking to kids. That's certification the old-fashioned way. What's the new-fashioned way going to become of assessing the goodness or not so goodness of the school? It's Google. It's reviews that you are used to doing on restaurants now and hair salons when they open up. on something even more important than the burger joint or the hairstylist. All right, maybe not as important as the hairstylist. The school that your kid's going to be in for the next year, that can and should be ranked, and it's starting. I believe that by the end of the decade, school certifications will probably be irrelevant. They will certainly be irrelevant within 5 years at colleges, okay? Colleges see enough homeschooled kids now who do great, okay? There was no certification in their district, and they're admitted. They perform usually better than kids that were not homeschooled. And so the colleges are still going to accept your kids, and they might do better because of it. Teachers who right now have certification in order to work for a public school, that'll probably stay true, but they better change what their certification criteria is to include, are they good online engagers? And it's very hard to do that in the K through 5 ranges when kids are all over the place and inattentive. I have a very good group here right now. You seem attentive, but if an adult is somewhere else, I have a hard time reining you in. Teachers need to be skilled at that. And I admit that we haven't had a lot of seasoning in it either, but we're in the trenches early. And if anyone's going to get good at effectively teaching with clarity, with enthusiasm, with empathy, with subject knowledge, and with the ability to keep kids engaged online, I think it's our group. I should say who else is in our group. Ahana, who's also a teacher in development, has also been doing a research work. So she, Shulman, Ashley, Sandy, and I are your administrators as of now. Any parent who's listening who would like to be an administrator for other parent groups, we could use you. And that's where I believe you should write to Sandy, because she may be able to leverage your skills, the people that you want. Now, some of you are already in touch with Ashley. Don't abandon Ashley. I think Michelle's one of them. Stay with her. She lives right near you too. Let me go to David. Did you have anything you wanted to ask or say?
Nothing really that I wanted to add. I just wanted to drop in, say hello.
Okay.
I'm definitely interested in tutoring for the fall because, so I was planning on graduating a semester early. I'm a rising senior right now at NYU, and I'm taking a leave of absence for the fall and just graduating on time with the rest of my class.
Good for you. And how do you know you can graduate on time? Did you build up some extra credits?
Yeah, so with my AP credits, I would just have fulfilled all my requirements by December. So yeah, all my classes are online for the fall, and I just didn't want that to be my last semester of college, so I'm just pushing it back.
That's cool. I think that makes sense. Sandy, I'll get to you in a sec, but a comment about that for any undergrad, because the same concerns I have for high schoolers and middle schoolers going back to school for both safety and learning efficacy, it's true in college too. And college costs a lot of money. So the proposition of you're an undergraduate who, if you graduated at 23 instead of 22, you still have a whole lifetime to work and play as you wish. What's the rush? And in the meantime, if going back to school, you're dead set on it, I won't talk you out of it. But if there's some who could go either way, you could be paying full NYU tuition. What are we up to? About $78,000 a year now, David?
Most of that probably, yeah.
Okay, plus living in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Or earning money for that same period of time. A tutor like you will earn at least some. And the possibility of even building a career from home. It's not a bad resume, maybe even a very good resume in the modern era, to say, instead of the last 2 years of college, I worked for 3 different firms, all from my home, got good recommendations from all 3 of them. I am multi-skilled as proven. You can hire me right out of college when I choose to graduate. Not a bad resume. Sandy, did you have anything to add?
The list of demo classes, when and where is that going to be posted?
when I line up the teachers' times, but you can count on an email from us with the time block. August 16th, August 23rd, August 30th, 3 straight Sundays between 8 and 10 Eastern. We'll do 4, one every half hour. Teaching time will be 20 minutes. And by the way, on our regular classes too, our teaching time will be 2/3 to 3/4. We can't fill the whole hour, especially because some kids need at least a few minutes if they're going to take another class with us. So we got a little downtime at the top of the hour, a little downtime at the bottom, and for younger kids, we always take a break. So teaching time is 2/3 to 3/4, maybe 5/6 for some very fast-paced groups. The other demos will occur in September, and those will be also 2-hour blocks. They'll be 7 to 9 p.m. on Wednesdays, Eastern time. The Sundays will continue in September right till the end of September, and that's when we start the real thing. Once the real thing is going, we'll still allow parents a 20-minute look-in. They can't be divisive, okay? They got to shut up, but they'll at least see what's going. Our focus is on the students who are really in the classes, but at least they can look in on some ongoing classes in October and November and maybe get ready for winter participation with us.
Mark, can I mention 2 other things?
Yeah.
Okay, so one is that I kind of remember because of David's comments about APs, we will definitely be able to do AP classes, tutoring if you want that. We've done AP tutoring in the past before learning coaches and all the homeschool stuff has become a necessity. And 2, this is kind of an important thing also because of state laws, but any child that's under 14 years old, we do need a parent or a responsible adult to be present. They don't need to be on camera, but like somewhere in the area that student is in, just so that, not to mind your kid's behavior or anything like that, just for safety. Any high schooler, it's perfectly fine to be on alone. And definitely parents will still be able to work pretty much in peace with our classes still going.
Now, let me elaborate on that. There is the possibility of your under 14-year-old being in another person's home learning with 3 or 4 other children, and the parents are really in peace. Now, that takes you and the other parents to know it's safe enough for your standards. But with that, a little learning pod of 3 kids spaced out if you want them to be, but if you're willing to have them, it's still safer than 25 school kids plus teachers who see 4 different groups of 25 throughout the week that are going to be in contact with your kid. It's going to be your neighborhood's 4 other kids. And if you feel that is wholesome enough to play soccer with, you can probably do that with a group. That's up to you. We're not going to implore safety measures, but we're going to say that you don't literally have to be with a parent if you have another parent or a guardian, a nanny, or this other pod of kids watching your under 14-year-olds. I did have a comment about, oh no, I'm done. I had questions for you because I promised at the end of this that we would let you who might have ideas of getting together talk to one another and us to hear you out. And I'm going to start with Michelle, just in case you have more ideas than before. Michelle has a group who are abroad. And if that group really comes together because they're in Africa, we actually will start even earlier. Our classes will not start at 8 a.m. They will start at 4 a.m. Eastern to make sure that the Nigerian kids have a reasonable time to work with us. So Michelle, did you have any concerns you want to share or any others who you'd like to chime in with you?
No, at this point, I'm basically really doing a lot of reflection. I'm thinking about the time zone. I'm thinking about the type of students that I have and the whole question of how it's done. It will be new, but I am very much interested in trying to figure out later, I guess you and I talk, how we could get this, how we could get it started. So I'm
Well, we
excited.
could do a demo on a better time than 3 a.m. Nigeria time. Okay?
Exactly.
We can do that to make things work for you on a different Sunday time if you
Okay.
like.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me
So
open up to other parents, especially who have maybe link up desires, and maybe there's some other parents listening right now that can line you up. Seema, Emily. No. Krista, Abel. All right. Krista, you were muted, but I saw it in yet. All right. Are there any questions for any of us that are worth answering now? We are pretty receptive to emails, so if you think these through, hit us up. And if you have other parents that deserve to hear one of these, we do it again next week, okay? The slightly different agenda is that we are going to have a little more input on certifications, and not district by district because they're all so different. But if we hear from any one parent with, this is what my district's going to require, we will take it on and address it. So that's the only difference. Next week, same time, same channel, we'll be here. And then August 16th starts the demos, and the real countdown is to the end of September. September 25th is the first Friday session of an 11-week term. All right, I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank you very much. Ashley and Ahana, if you guys could stay on, I do have 2 concerns. The rest of you have a good rest of the weekend. I'm glad you came on. Yes, you're welcome. Thanks all. Good night. Take care, Abel. Thanks for coming on.
good night.
Yep. Thanks, Dennis.
All right, thank you.
Michelle, link up with Ashley. I know she wanted to try before. You're muted. You're still muted. Raised hand. I can't add a hand. I didn't mute you, but I'll try to unmute you. No, you muted yourself.
You were unmuted just now and then you remuted yourself.
No? You want to chat?
Yeah. I'll
There
do
you
that.
go.
No problem. I will definitely link up with Ashley. Thank you, guys.
You
Be
want to
safe.
tell us, though, because everyone who's listening now is actually part of the team. Sandy, Ahana, Ashley. What was the concern that you're stumbling on? Maybe we have an answer.
Different ones, basically the time zone, the idea of the curriculum, how does it line up with the Nigerian curriculum, and just different things that I noted. But I will get back. I'm going to do it through an email with Ashley, and I'm sure we're going to be in touch by phone. So those are just, that's not a 2-minute, 3-minute fix. So we're going to discuss it.
Yep. The curriculum part is going to be a hard one to discuss, but not so hard to see. If there are any standards of document that you can show what they're supposed to know, that's good. If it's going the other way and they want to hear from us, you should tell them we're usually not bound, we're usually playing to traditional US graduation standards and to the SAT. So if you have kids who ultimately want to come for 4 years of college here, our math and our verbal is going to get tiered. In fact, they'll be using some of our SAT materials late stage in some of our year-round classes.
I agree. That's one of the reasons why I contacted you.
Okay.
Because most of them are bound for either Canada, America, Dubai. It just depends. And London, they have schools that have some American curriculums as well when they do their A-level. So I'm definitely open for it. I'm glad we're able to have this discussion now, and we have like a month to get this together. So
yeah, a little more actually, but I think you could float it to parents hopefully in the next couple of weeks that it's a possibility. So if you can feel good about at least floating it, then maybe by August, say 15th, you can announce we're setting up for a demo. And I think we would probably do 2 demos. I would do a math demo and I would do a verbal demo.
Okay, great.
And please feel free to send me any of your concerns or questions copy Mark on it if you want. He's kind of
No, don't.
doesn't
As
respond to
usual.
all the emails. Send it to me.
No problem.
I'll look. And
Very good theme. I am going to do that, Kathy. No problem.
sounds good.
Good.
And
Yeah.
I think for our interactions, we've been on a different email than the one I sent in the chat, so you can email me at the same one that I've interacted with you on.
Sounds good.
All right. Good night, Michelle. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
So Ahana, I wanted to keep you on so that project time, and I don't have any strong projects right now, but we're going to get busy. And I want to know, first off, how much time you could devote to, at minimum, Facebook publicity. Sandy got started with some Facebook publicity, and I'd like you to be on the Facebook publicity for kids. You know where they're at better than any of us. And the mature kid can bring it to mom and say, Mom, this is probably better than my crappy mask-born thing. Or maybe even, Mom, I actually want to get ahead in one of these enrichment classes. So are you game for, at minimum, a little social media publicity? You're muted. And you're off camera. Hannah, you want to come back? No. All right.
I might have stepped away.
That was for her.
This
Well,
happens
she's
to me
gonna
in
have to
my
listen to the recording.
this happens
at
to me
10
in my SAT class.
Really?
Yeah.
10:34. That's a shame. Jim, I don't recognize this name, but Sandy disappeared and then you came up. Is that Sandy? Jim Kingdon? You want to identify yourself? You're not a Zoom bomber, I hope.
Sorry, my microphone was turned off.
And who are you?
I'm a parent in Virginia, and I clicked on this Zoom call through a link through the Facebook micro schooling
Oh,
group.
good. Welcome. I'm going to turn off the recording, and